even performing held the same thrill for Phyllis as it once had. And like most of her other responsibilities as an artist, it was becoming a chore, a means to an end, and the only method she had of paying bills. She's a lot of people feel like that, girl.
I don't hear nobody out there. Hold it down.
Phyllis had been in the business a decade longer than Eastman, and she could barely afford the monthly rent on her Manhattan apartment. The Philadelphia apartment had been given up the year before as a cost-cutting measure. Now surrounded by the spaciousness of Eastman's digs, Phyllis could not help but feel envious. "No, I should have my house," she said. "I should have a family." Choices you make. I mean, the smallest shiz can deviate your life. You know, Erykah Badu say, "I'm trying to decide which way to go because I made a wrong turn back there somewhere." Shit, it happens to everybody. Everybody. And if you don't have the mental capacity to understand that things like that happen to everybody, people who you think got it together, them motherfuckers ain't got it together. Okay? I live in Atlanta, bitch. People be churn. People be having roommates, y'all, and be driving Bentleys. When me and my wife lived in our other place before we moved into the house, oh my God. It was 7 ninjas sharing a 2-bedroom penthouse. Sharing. You hear me? Sharing. You know them mother hunchies was taking turns, okay? And I know they was sharing their apartments because there would be times like, because you needed a fob to get into the gate, right? But if you got 2 bedrooms, they only giving you 2 fobs, okay? Child. Or 2 people on the lease or whatever that is, child. You know what I'm talking about. It was at least like 2 or 3 dudes who would be waiting at the gate. And they would be like, "Hey, can you let me in? I live on your floor and number blah, blah, blah." Me, you know my dumb ass. Why you ain't got no key? Why you ain't got no fob key? Why you can't get in there? Me and my wife figured it out. It's too many niggas coming in and out of there. If they having a lot of parties, but if it wasn't ninjas coming out of there, it was a rack up bitches. They was taking turns saying, "Oh, this is my lap of luxury." But they all driving luxury cars. I mean, them cars was, yeah. But they had roommates. Ooh, hey. I'm trying to decide which way. After working with Dave Jam Hall, Gordon Chambers, and Barry Eastman, it was back to the West Coast and to Nick Martinelli. When working with Martinelli, Phyllis always stayed at Le Parc in West Hollywood. During this trip, Phyllis spent a good amount of time with Lorraine Feather. Phyllis had first met Feather in 1987 when they were both guests on the Barry Manilow Big Fun on Swing Street television special. Phyllis as a solo guest and Feather fronting the group Full Swing. Shortly after the taping, Feather had forwarded to Phyllis some songs she'd written for her consideration. Phyllis liked one in particular, "This Too Shall Pass," which had been co-written by Joe Curiel, and finally the time had come to record it. "The record company might fight me on it, but this will be a special song to me, like Meet Me on the Moon," Phyllis told Feather, who was in the studio when Phyllis cut it. Kenny Gamble had encouraged Phyllis to reconnect with her writing, as had Glinda. But as the head of the company, Kenny had to be a bottom line kind of guy. Phyllis had gone to #1 for the first time with the last album and followed it up with 2 additional top 10 singles. Gamble was hoping to repeat the same feat or even best it with the next effort. But as he started hearing the songs Phyllis was turning in, he wasn't convinced there were any number ones in the lot. Yikes. Barry Eastman was incredulous. Not to fault anyone at the label, but when she was writing these songs, especially a song like Why Not Me, in which she was really basically telling her story, I remember playing it for the record company people at the time, and they were just saying, well, we're kind of looking for hits, and we're not really interested. It's a nice song, but we really need singles right now. She kept telling me, Barry, don't worry. These songs are going to make the album. They're going to be on the album because they've always wanted me to write about myself and how I felt and what I've been through over the years. Inside, though, Phyllis was not completely convinced. The little girl in her was confused once again. She had done as asked and had still not made the grade. Barry watched Phyllis wilt. Not that I know what she went through during the first 2 times that she attempted suicide, but I think that there was something that would happen to her that would hurt her in a way that she felt, you know what, it's not worth going on. It's funny because when she was telling me about the suicide attempts, she almost made it a joke. Soon, Phyllis's dismay with her record company had worked its way into her live shows. At a January 1994 appearance at the Caravan of Dreams in Fort Worth, Texas, Phyllis mentioned it in her introduction to the crowd. It has been almost a year since we were here last, she said. I've started to work on a new album. Hopefully, it will be out sometime soon. We don't want to wait another 5 years. My finances can't stand it. I have no man. I have to take care of my own self. I need all the cash that I can get my hands on. So please, record company, consider that as you decide when this album is to be released. Needless to say, the IRS will be on your behind. Not even performing held the same thrill for Phyllis as it once had. And like most of her other responsibilities as an artist, it was becoming a chore, a means to an end, and the only method she had of paying bills. She's a lot of people feel like that, girl. Not me though, y'all, because I was about to lose my mind if I had to sit in this house another goddamn year. So getting out the house and going to work is a blessing to me. But most of us who are unhappy with our jobs, because all the bullshit that's going on now, you at work doing a job of 17 and you only one person. You go to your boss and you be like, okay, boss, I could do 3 people's job, but 17? And then they don't want to pay you the cost of being 1.5 and you 3 people at work. Girl, it's a whole mess. Linda had for years been looking for a proper theatrical property for her charge. Phyllis had never fully capitalized on that line in her resume that read Tony-nominated actress. So when Glenda found the script to Blues Bar on her desk, she was sufficiently enthused. In the tradition of Ain't Misbehavin', Blues Bar was a musical celebrating the great institution of the blues. The play was written by Curtis King, who was also to direct it. Phyllis was one of a few names discussed to play the critical lead role of Etta Pickens, a fictional blues singer who, after making it big in Europe, returns to the States for her first domestic concert tour in over a decade. Upon returning to her hometown, Etta learns that the club she first sang in is about to close. As she plans a benefit to save the struggling club, Etta is forced to confront the reasons she left Mississippi in the first place, and more than her fair share of personal demons. While the show had a supporting cast, Etta carried the lion's share of the lines. The Blues and Phyllis seemed for some an unlikely pairing, but something in the character of Etta and her struggles touched a chord in Phyllis. In spite of its circumstances being different, this is so much like my own life that is scary, she told Jack the Rapper magazine. The show was scheduled to open and run for one weekend in Dallas. From there, it was scheduled to tour and was booked solid through the end of the year. Rehearsals took place at the Dallas Convention Center where JBAAL was housed and began only 3 weeks before the opening of the show to accommodate Phyllis's Brazilian commitment. The supporting cast of the show included singer Billy Preston, who played Etta's bandleader, Antonio Huggy Bear Fargas, best known for his role on the television show Starsky and Hutch. Pause. Bullshit the Baker. Yes, we know him as the Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch. But my favorite role was when he was, what was that lady name on Car Wash? Oh my God. Was it Trixie? Y'all put it in the notes. The actor / actress, because she would have been trans. Was it Mindy? She would have been a trans woman, or he was playing a trans woman. I know you like, nay, he's not, he's gay. He was playing a gay man. No, because the lady who was the secret lover of the car wash owner referred to her as a her. So she was a trans woman, okay? But anyway, that was his best role, honey. If I ain't never seen him do anything before. That, and I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, when he was released from jail with them fishbowl shoes on. I'm gonna get you, sucker. You dirty mother, don't you say that. And Roger E. Mosley from the television show Magnum P.I. Bitch. You could not tell me that Roger Mosley, when I became a grown woman, wasn't going to wake up in the bed next to me when I became a grown-ass woman. Ooh, that Roger Mosley. Oh, he was so cute to me. He was so cute. And remember when he played in the movie with Martin Lawrence and Bobby Brown, A Thin Line Between Love and Hate? Ooh, he was still fine as an old-ass man. Him and that car went. And Roger E. Mosley from the television show Magnum P.I. Phyllis flew into Dallas 1 week before the rest of the cast and began rehearsing with King on August 22nd. It didn't take King long to realize he had a problem on his hands. Probably about 2 hours into the first rehearsal, he recalled, I knew she was going to have problems because I could tell the way she was reading. As long as I've been out here, I could tell. She was a singer, not an actress. She was a singer who could do the work, but she didn't know how to process the story in a way that could help her memorize it. While Phyllis had earned a Tony nomination for her role in Sophisticated Ladies, it's important to note that show was a review. Phyllis had no dialogue to remember, no lines at all outside of the lyrics to the songs she sang. And while she had done some acting through the years, most notable in Fred Williamson's film Sodercracker, The Kill Reflex, that was a movie which is filmed a scene at a time and could be reshot as many times as needed to achieve perfection. Blues Bar really marked Phyllis's first foray into live theater. The first time she would be expected to learn huge pieces of dialogue and deliver them flawlessly night after night. Sadly, by this time, she wasn't up to the task. Her substance abuse combined with her crippling insecurities made the memorization process virtually impossible. As early as 1990, she had begun using a music stand and lyric sheets to help her through new songs as she performed them in concert. But in this arena, that wasn't possible. There was no room for a teleprompter or cue cards. It was all on Phyllis here, who was far from operating on full capacity. Y'all make me sick. Why when mommy is recording, y'all always playing? Oh, God, y'all. There were, however, promising moments. When the rest of the cast came and we did the roundtable reading, Phyllis was so on, it was unbelievable, said Curtis. When she was on, she was on. And when she was off, she was off. She had so many different things that she was trying to sort out in her mind. She was a very troubled sister. Glenda was hopeful and confident that Phyllis could pull through when she flew to Dallas to check on the production. She called Oscar Cohen with ABC and said to him, "I think we have a show," Curtis said. This show was going to be the show that was going to get Phyllis back to Broadway. But first, Phyllis had to memorize her lines. Rehearsals for her were torturous affairs. She traveled with 2 personal assistants, Lanice and Leo, who had a hard time getting Phyllis to show up on time, not to mention sober.
Hollywood.